This is the 1982 GE Model 3-5295A, aka the Omni-Tech. It goes back as early as 1981, and for a boombox, it's relatively rare to have a digital tuner during that time frame. And so this was quite an expensive box during that time. And in fact, I saw this and had to do it. Sports. Yeah, apparently Michael Jordan had this in his dorm room in 1982 or so, whatever. Had a turntable hooked to it, which he can, as a magnetic phono input. But yeah, it looks to be in relatively very good condition. And that's what I thought when I saw the auction. It's like, it needed cleaned up. And that's where it also comes into play. I got this very cheap. You see, when it showed up, it said it's not working. It says the power, it pressed power, the light comes on, but nothing else happens. The clock display's dead and everything else. I was like, okay, it's probably a simple electronic problem. And I saw the price and I knew what this box was. It is quite a rare model. And I haven't seen another one like it since. There's a lot of rare models. So I bought it, got it. I opened it up to find a bunch of Wal Mart supporting mice messed it up. I mean, look at them. I mean, they're getting their GPX on and everything. And they're all happy and smiling and shit. Ooh. Walmart mice. And thank you, Sears, for that wonderful imagery right there. But anyways, this is what it looked like when I popped it open. And it was a mess. So I stepped back, analyzed it. So yeah, that's what happened. So before we dive into what I had to do to fix this thing up, I'll explain what happened. It's missing the battery cover, and I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. But I'll also point out, I have a thing about with General Electric boom boxes. During the real boom box era, they had a huge line of boom boxes, okay? And in some early videos, I made some assumptions where I was wrong. Now I'm just gonna say this. The actual GE made boom boxes, I said may have been only entry level, but I was really, really wrong on that. Until I got my hands on some, I discovered I was completely wrong. Such as this model here, and there's a lot of others I gotta show. They all had the Super Radio tuner and were just beasts overall. But the other thing about GE was they OEM'd a bunch of boxes out too. Like they had their own product line, and then you wouldn't know any of this stuff unless you did your research and looked up the FCC ID and so forth. But what really started me on this was the Blockbuster. Like I said, and those of you who don't know, I have a thing with vintage Funai products, okay? As in pre-90s. Funai at one point did not make ass. They at one point made some really good stuff. And every Funai made box they made has been been jaw-dropping when you gotta listen to it. I don't know how they did it, but the bass on it is, and it's like a freaking hi-fi system. I don't know how they did it, but that's what kind of got me started. See, in the US, or at least North America, see, we didn't get actual Funai branded boom boxes, but we got them under GE. There's several Realistic, Radio Shack ones, and Sears. If you're looking at Sears, if you got a model number 304, that is Funai. And that's where I was very surprised. So here's how it works. The GE made boxes really sound great. Lots of deep bass. And a lot of them upper ones had the super radio tuner. That's just pretty much not offered on anything else. They always had an AFC switch for that. That's how you know you have it. But this one here, I think it had to do probably a contractual agreement. You remember the GE Roadshow? That was built by Sharp. And there was also a black and white TV version that has a stereo micro cassette like that too. That was OEM by Sharp. There's probably some sort of agreement. So this is like the Sharp GF 9797. And as you can see, it's totally different cosmetics. I like the GE's better. And it's actually lacking features, such as it only has one set of LED segments right there. Only has one music search on there. They call it APSS on Sharp units. So yeah, this was made by Sharp, and to my knowledge is the only, outside the TV microcassette ones, is the only one made for GE. But they're also saying that this is fully decked out and the Sharp is lacking some features. I think that's probably what it was. It was probably made for GE, and then Sharp just got a different one for under their own line. But this one looks a lot cooler. Power output on this is 2 times 7 watts RMS, properly rated again. And I keep saying that because, you know, you got these Bluetooth speakers today that boast all this power, and they even boast more power out than you're putting into it, and people believe it. I'm like, how? Why? I'm not going to deny Class D amplifiers and their efficiency, but Class D amplifiers also don't sound that great. Yeah, they put out a lot of bass, but the rest of it, I can get into another subject there. It just doesn't sound that good. I'll take less efficient Class AB amplifiers for a louder and better, clearer sound quality. Before I continue on, I also do not do Bluetooth mods. That just completely ruins it. The whole reason I like vintage boomboxes is one of the reasons is the cassette decks. It's not like everything after the mid-'80s and later with the stupid Tanishin mechanism. Like this has an actual Sharp mechanism and so forth. I mean, they were completely different, well-made, well-performing, and everything. So, after that long-winded introduction, let's take a look at what those Wal Mart supporting mice did. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, this is, again, after I first opened it up. Wasn't expecting that, and it was just, wow. It was a mess. Wires completely ripped or insulation chewed. I didn't know if this was even going to be salvageable. And despite what the speakers look like right now, the cones were not touched. They were perfectly fine. And here it is after being ran through the parts washer. It's actually in good condition overall, despite what happened. Yes, little dude. You gonna use the toilet? I'll leave you alone on that. Yeah, you. But this cleaned up pretty well. And the circuit boards, which are also covered, this just finished. So I gotta put that on the fan. That should have cleaned off any garbage that was on that. But we're off to a good start, and I have these ribbon cables out of a parts boombox, and I'm pretty confident I'm able to repair this. Now that it's clean, I can see the actual condition of it. All this will clean up nicely, but these speaker grills, I mean, it's not showing up too well, but they have rust and stains on them from rodents. So, I mean, these are fine up here. I gotta push that little dent out, but take these off and repaint them. I mean, in the end, this will turn out real nice. It's not in bad shape. It just got stored incorrectly. I don't know how that damage happened in the corner, but we'll figure it out. All right, so now that this thing's been cleaned up, now I'm beginning work on it, and now I can trace it down. It's not as bad as it looked. I already got one of the wiring harnesses cleaned up and stripped. This is the other part of it, right there. And let's see, there's that one. There's that thing there, and then probably a couple wires here and there from the tape deck that was chewed, and that should be it. So this should be fairly well, I hope. Well, so far this is going well. The first harness that was chewed up is now repaired. So progress. This is the one wiring harness I just repaired, and surprisingly didn't take up too much. There wasn't too much missing from it, so lengthwise didn't hurt anything. Another thing that was replaced, this ribbon cable right here. You wouldn't know it, but here's the original one. The conductors were broken and insulation chewed to a mess. This came out of the parts unit GE 3-6035 that I demonstrated in a previous video, link in the upper right. Now, the only difference is this is a 7 conductor ribbon cable, and the max that thing had is only 6. So I chose another ribbon cable that had 5 conductors, and then cut another one that had 2. But if you didn't know I did that, you'd think this would be the original ribbon cable here. But yeah, these two at the bottom is separated out because I didn't have a 7 conductor cable. Next step, microphone. The conductor is not broken on it, but the insulation has been chewed off. So I'm going to heat shrink that right now. And there, heat shrunk over it, so that should be good to go. And the other change, there was a ribbon cable right here. Just the insulation was chewed, but the conductor was fine. So I just put heat shrink on that one. That one was the only thing I had to fix on that, so that one was saved. So it was a success. The tuner and everything powers up now. And the remaining part, the worst part of it, was that connector there. The ones over here was just the blue wire. I had to put heat shrink on that, but the conductor was fine. The wires going to this switch here were completely destroyed, and it made it way too short. And that switch is for AM frequency steps. Yeah, if you were to take, because this is a multi-point system, you could take it out of country and change it. For example, I did have to get the service manual to trace some things out, but it's this right here. Span selector, 9 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz. The problem is, I did have to remove the connector on there. I don't have any. And, where did I put it? There was no way I could salvage it. It was chewed right down to there. I got that connector there. I gotta see how I'm gonna handle that. That's for the tape deck, and that's for the erase head. At least the erase head I could salvage. What little wires there make work. Now this right here, I forget what wire that was for. Had to do voiceover on this one, but I had to splice it, resolder it, and put heat shrink over top, so I was able to save it at least. And that was a little tough getting that on there. But yeah, if the conductors were fine, I left it alone. I just cleaned the wiring up. Now onto the tape deck. I just sprayed it down with isopropyl alcohol and brushed it, tried to clean it the best I could. A little bit of surface rust from probably rodent urine, but it's still intact. And it did try to play, despite, before I even took it apart to know. But this is what I got to contend with here. These wires. See, I think the yellow one is the erase head, and the blue one is one of the channels on the main head, and the gray is the other. I'm gonna see if this gray one is just the conductors are okay. I'll probably put heat shrink on that, because it looks like the conductors are still fine. Let's see. So I finished all the wiring on the main unit and got it tidied up a bit. Maybe not, like this route here might not be exact as the factory, because some of the wires are a little shorter and they're run a little differently, but like this was supposed to run through, I think, there's little grooves there, but it ain't happening because of everything there. So last night I worked on the tape deck. This whole assembly with the push buttons comes out. That got ran through the ultrasonic and got that cleaned up. There's no more dirt on it at all. Despite the little bit of surface corrosion on everything, it's on parts that don't come in contact with anything else. New flat belt on the way. This belt is fine, but it's stretched. I mean, it's very, very loose on here. So new flat belt that drives the capstan, and flywheel, I should say, is on the way. But yeah, new wiring exits out here. That won't hurt a bit. Just comes up and plugs into the socket on there. This is your erase head. Wiring I did have to replace was this right here for pause control. And you press pause, it engages a switch. That wire was completely missing. And see, it goes that little switch there. If it'll focus. So yeah, check this. That's what that switch is there. And I did at least move it by hand. I put it into play. That works just fine. So yeah, like I said, despite the little bit of surface rust, it's non-parts that aren't going to be affected by anything, and they'll be covered up once it's put in the unit. Yeah, this is the brake right here. Whenever it goes on, gets engaged, it moves this out of the way, so both supply and take-up rails are loose. Right now there's a brake on there. It won't allow the tape to move at all. Did have to fix two wires back here that were, the conductors are fine, but insulation was chewed through. And it was my first chance to use my wire wrapping tool I never used before. See, there's the red one, and there's the gray one right there. Can't even tell. Kind of comes around here. I needed that wire wrapping tool for mainly. Here's another project I'm working on you haven't seen yet. I mean, you may have seen it in one video, but not me working on it. That is a Philco Predicta chassis, and it uses a lot of those. See those wires, how they're twisty-turny? They go around posts or wire wrapped. I'll do that last. It actually goes on that board there, which I rebuilt. Yeah, it's a future video. I know it's been a while since I've done TV videos, but I still have some very old ones, tube type sets such as that. I also have a Sylvania Halo Light console, two of which have been on my bucket list that I've obtained. So you'll see that. I'll say you probably see the Predicta hopefully soon, next few months. Maybe not finished, but at least a part 1 video of it. So now next step is to work on the front of the unit. It's in good shape, except the speaker grills look terrible, so I'm going to repaint those. But before we jump into that, another quick note. If you ever have some of these connectors that are completely chewed off, one thing to do is take the wire, tin it with some solder, of course, and stick it down in the hole where it's supposed to be and heat it, and hopefully it'll melt just enough to where it'll properly solder to the piece in there. So that's how I was able to get this to work. We're gonna have to replace the wires on it. That's the reason why I didn't do completely new wires, because like these have a lot of custom harnesses like this in place. So if I can, I'll repair it, and I did just that. It should be okay. Okay, I got the speaker grills out. I know it's probably not showing up too well on camera, but it is pretty, like right there, there's blemishes all over. I actually have to run these through the parts washer again, because I cleaned it up by hand, but there's mouse nest debris stuck in it somehow. That said, the nice thing is you get those out, you can clean in behind there. The chrome is still perfect, just dirty. I'm going to take the cassette door off, get that cleaned, and polish up this part of it at least. Alright, so I got the smoked lens plastic thing off of the cassette door. That was a challenge. I'm always afraid of doing that, of breaking that. But you know, I got a plastic spudger tool and very carefully did it, but I got it off. Now I can get this garbage that's stuck in there and behind there and then notice this thing. So that's taken care of. These get washed. That I am going to continue to clean up, and I can probably, I better wait till I get the things painted before the speakers back in. There was a dent in this tweeter grill here. I was able to push it back out. You can't even tell now. So yeah, it's actually going quite well. So this little board I'm putting back in here is the as GE's terminology, the music location system. Sharp calls theirs the APSS system. My thing that's bizarre is AIDS button. Yeah, it says that. Alright, so yeah, here's final part where I clean the speakers up. Wires were chewed off that going to it, so I was at least able to cut off the damaged parts and resolder it on. Just barely had enough to make it. Speaker basket got a little bit of corrosion on it, but that was it. The cones were fine. I cleaned the chrome dust caps with alcohol. That'll dry clear. And I usually finish up with a Q-tip and Novus 1 to make the chrome really pop on there like brand new. And there it is, reinstalled without the speaker grills, and that looked really good, very shiny. Speaker grills have been repainted. Now they're drying. And then here's the soft eject, cushion eject mechanism. It's just dampened with some sticky grease inside. Well, the barrel of grease was bad. It didn't provide any soft eject or cushion eject. So that was a replacement. That's pretty much an off-the-shelf part. And if it's from the same era, yeah, like I actually got that one out of a parts unit, the GE3-6035 that was made by Funai. So, yes, that took a lot of work to get to like this. It didn't look like it from the outside. And yeah, the battery cover is open, but there was only one major flaw that the seller conveniently didn't show that well. And that's how they got in. Unfortunately, there's damage right there. That was like it when I got it. But it's weird because the rest of it is in fantastic shape. I can overlook that because number one, this is quite a rare box for one thing, and number two, I got it dirt cheap. Naturally, naturally, you got the handle with the end pieces being metal and actual chrome, not plastic. So on the front, two 6.5-inch woofers by 2-inch tweeters. Left and right microphones. Over here you got tape selectors that can do normal, chrome, and metal. Dolby noise reduction. You have your radio off tape, radio on, line in, and magnetic phono input. Okay, going by the knobs there, you have volume, balance, bass, treble, manual record level controls. The next day you have automatic level control. FM mode, mono and stereo, AM, FM, and a local and distance switch. Dolby system, PLL electronic tuning system. You also have a light bat button. What that does is if you press it, the battery indicator, which is the bottom meter, it will show battery remaining. But also the LCD display on this is backlit. And there's oddly 3 levels of brightness to it. Right now it's in standby, and if the big light's on here, you can kind of see it's lit up green. I'll dim the lights later to show this. When you operate the radio, it goes up to the next level of brightness. And if you press the light bat button, it goes full brightness. It's just 2 green LEDs. Soft touch controls. And despite everything that went on in there, I'm really amazed that the cassette deck works just fine with no damage. But the biggest thing on this is the fact that it's a digital tuning box. This was the shit back in 1982. And it's one of those deals where it requires 2 AA batteries and it keeps the memory and everything. But it actually, if you don't put the batteries in, every time you turn the power off, you lose your settings and the clock. However, they have the circuit configured. But upon first power up to any power, it actually has to go through a boot up sequence. It takes a few seconds before it comes online and clears everything. And the service manual, which I did need for this to trace out some wires, actually goes into full detail of how the digital tuning system works in this. I had to do one minor adjustment to the on the analog part on the FM discriminator circuit. It was tuning off by, instead of like tuning 102.5, it would tune correctly on 102.6. So I had to tweak one of the coils, and I got that absolutely perfect, so it pulls right in now. And must be a common issue because there's a video 12-volt vids did on a sharp box, and it had the same problem where it was tuning off frequency and losing the stereo light. And in this setup, I don't have, that's the other thing I haven't found for it yet. This is a big box. It requires a bigger antenna, so I don't have the antenna for it. But luckily, like these old boxes do, they have external antenna inputs, which we'll get to. But over here, digital tuning and clock time controls, display timer radio, store memory, and it's a 10-channel memory, 5 AM, 5 FM, time set, and auto memory. It's a scanning. It'll scan the frequencies and automatically add it, but there's more than 5 stations I can pick up, so that wouldn't be ideal for me. I have to do it manually. Power LEDs, Dolby noise reduction, FM stereo, and a tuning light. And left and right VU meters with tune and battery functions. FM external antenna inputs. Then on the back here, you have external microphones with a remote jack. Line in, line out. 3 different oscillator settings for beat cancel. There's the date code. 1982, 35th week. Let's see, that's your phono, magnetic phono input with a ground connection. And on this side here, you have external speakers as well as headphone jack and a multi-tap transformer for, what does it say, 120, 220 volt, and a DC in jack there. And it's off position. You can see it's nice and green. We'll go ahead and turn the radio on and get slightly brighter. Now when it's on, the top meter is your tuning. So yes, in addition to a tune light LED, it has a tuning meter up top. And when it's in radio mode, the bottom meter is a VU meter for both channels.
Conversations with
Now one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to have to push in the local distance switch to local, because when it's out and distant, it does pull in a lot of stations, but they're so, even the really weak ones it'll pull in, but I don't want it to keep stopping throughout, so we'll just do what it can, nice strong stations here. So if you were to press and hold this for a few seconds so it starts moving, it'll do a scan.
Because I spent my whole life doing research to write white and nerd.
The red or blue color of their states. So you have.
Downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn
Different things that we felt would be kind of fun. So you can
make it harder for you offensively when you have to try and
battle it out in their Class 1A semifinal from Bulldog Stadium in Freedom.
Sports.
The time is running and I'm feeling kinda homesick. Too much pressure and I'm nervous.
Pushing me around, but I'll stand. Love in the heart of God.
Humble that you had that kind of experience. Good parents, a good household. That's one.
South Carolina, just like you always said we would.
crank it up. You're listening to
Serious and live down Folk Park, some old city jukebox.
And more like this. Watch the savings add up. Join Walmart Plus today. Limited to paid member shopping in-store and to receive.
Yeah, for some reason it
People,
stopped
a nation.
one up from there.
You made them a kingdom and priest.
The Rock Station.
And it starts over. Till you press stop. Now under normal listening, I leave the in distance mode because some stations are further away. But that was digital tuning on FM. Let's try AM. It should be on 1020 KDKA.
1020 KDK.
Kind of like away from any windows. If I do this. Yeah, it's not very good weather tonight, so, but that's on there. Like I said, for those you don't know, in this house I get poor reception. That's one reason why I have FM antenna connections everywhere. Or I have to do it by a window. But I'm very well insulated, that said. So we go back to FM, you know.
As we drop down to 25 degrees.
Has really, that really deep sounding bass. It sounds really great. And I'm still amazed that despite those Walmart supporting mice, getting their GPX on, didn't destroy the speaker cones. The speakers are perfectly fine. So now we can do cassette operation. I kind of updated my royalty-free music tape. And I actually just recorded this whole tape on this unit here, so I'll go ahead and turn the power off. Go to eject. Okay. Theme was that long. Oh, that was a cool demo right there. And it was good. But yeah, if you, like I said, watch the brightness of the LCD display. It's brighter when you press that in. And then when you hit stop, it goes down another level of brightness. That's like standby, where you'd see that in a dimly lit room. If it's on a shelf or whatever. Rewind. Auto stop. Cushion eject. Now just do some quick record operations. Again, that tape right there was recorded on this unit, but here's a normal bias cassette. And do that, we'll select normal, but leave Dolby on. One touch record. Sucks them both in. Okay. Oh wait, let me turn automatic level control on. Right now it's operating with the manual level from what I did earlier. Okay, yeah, there, I'm talking. Okay, recording on the GE Omni-Tech. Left, 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 left. I don't even know what I'm recording with the camera because I'm not paying attention. Left, left, left. And right, 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 right. Don't know why I did that. Okay. Oh wait, let me turn automatic level control on. Right now it's operating with the manual level from what I did earlier. Okay, yeah, there, I'm talking. Okay, recording on the GE Omni-Tech. Left, 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 left. I don't even know what I'm recording with the camera because I'm not paying attention. Left, left, left. And right, 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 right. Don't know why I did that. And it was good. Reset. We can go. I'll leave automatic level control on. Go to the radio.
Tomorrow night from 7 to 8.
John's iconic career.
Let's see if I'll get flagged for this.
I've had the most wonderful time making records, touring, playing with the band.
And then go live from Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles to hear Elton say goodbye to America on stage and play his last song.
Hi there, I'm Elton John. iHeartRadio will be broadcasting my last song live from the stage, along with a special message I'd like to leave my fans with.
Join us as iHeartRadio presents Elton John's Thank You to America, the final song, this Sunday at 10 p.m. Pacific Time, right here.
Hyundai is a proud sponsor of iHeartRadio presents Elton John's Thank You to America, the final song. When it comes to electric vehicles that go the distance, we're thinking of every mile.
Hey, it's Dan Wynn with Wolfsman Ford and Washington Ford, letting you know now is a great time to sell your vehicle. Due to a recent supply shortage, yours may be worth more than you think it is. Act now and don't let your vehicle's value drop a dollar.
I don't care. I drive a Toyota, and it's worth almost the same as when I bought it 6-7 years ago. So, I ain't getting rid of that ever. I don't know what I'm doing. Help. Okay, I reset the tape counter. So we'll go rewind. We'll go to 000 on the tape counter. And hopefully I don't get flagged.
Making records, touring, playing with the band.
And then go live from Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles to hear Elton say goodbye to America on stage and play his last song.
Hi there, I'm Elton John. iHeartRadio will be broadcasting my last song live from the stage, along with a special message I'd like to leave my fans with.
Join us as iHeartRadio presents Elton John's Thank You to America, the final song, this Sunday at 10 p.m. Pacific Time, right here.
Hyundai is a proud sponsor of iHeartRadio presents Elton John's Thank You to America, the final song. When it comes to electric vehicles that go the distance, we're thinking of every mile.
Hey, it's Dan Wynn with Wolfsman Ford and Washington Ford, letting you know now is a great time to sell your vehicle. Due to a recent supply shortage, yours may be worth more than you think it is. Act now and...
And that was muffled because that was a non-Dolby encoded recording. See, watch. Yeah, I don't want to do copyright police. That'll be a future video coming up what I recorded that on, because I'm going to pan over to the right because, oh yeah, two GEs, 1 to 2 years apart, drastically different, but they're the same, almost the same unit. So, on that note, that should be the full demonstration of the unit. It sounds great, as you heard. It is loud because it is a real boombox, and it's digital, and it looks awesome. And don't forget, Michael Jordan had one. Thanks for watching. Boosh.
Special shout out and thanks to Liz, our star patron.